next speaker in the trilogy of speakers tonight is a seasoned Toastmaster who was a perfect choice for this aspect. How to give a stellar presentation. Gail Smith has a degree in graphic design from the University of Florida. Okay. And even though she's not wearing her cheerleader uniform tonight, she will share her insights of using graphics for a presentation. And Addie, A-D-D-Y, Addie Award winner for her creative work and campaigns. She has meshed this knowledge with that of a speaker using visual aids. Welcome our Division D Director, CFF Charter Member, and Distinguished Toastmaster Gail Hill-Smith, presenting 5 to 7 minute speech. Does your body speak? Do your words speak? Do the visuals speak? And we're going to
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. You probably are wondering, a graphic presentation is only as important as the message you want your audience to remember. A graphic presentation is only as important as what you want your audience to know, that you understand them, that you feel their pains, their wishes, and their goals and intentions. And a graphic presentation is only as important as you speaking their language and their terms in their environment. This evening, I wanted to help break down what graphics is. I'm a little biased, I'm a little slanted, if you will, because my undergraduate degree in graphic arts, as mentioned from the University of Florida, I'm a very visual person. Graphics, we take into account the composition, we take into account the color relationships, we take into account the font designs, the font point sizes. Again, very, very visual. And how does that translate into a speaker? Pretty much the same way. Let me illustrate. You've probably seen, possibly done it yourself, where you have taken a number of tools and put them on a PowerPoint slide. You're not quite sure what fonts to use. You're not quite sure of the layout. You're not quite sure whether it's a photo, whether it's a illustration, whether it's a piece of clip art, whatever. But if you have too much on that slide for your audience, guess what? What does it become like? A cluster of clutter, or as they say, it's like lemonade. There's just way too much. So in order to refine and define and trying to take the plethora of visual aids or graphics or tools that we have available at our fingertips, I would like to focus and concentrate really on 3 of the ones that I think are most prominent. The gestures, your body gestures. I know that you have seen presenters in the public limelight, in your own private little world, where they mutter and stutter. Their gestures are possibly all over the place. Many times speakers, they want to move, they want to use their body, but they overuse it. They use extemporaneous gestures that mean nothing. They don't focus. They don't emphasize any point that you are making. Your visual aid of your body is important. Jonathan referenced using your eyes. When you use your eyes, you connect and you engage into your audience. You don't want to glare over your audience. You're not pulling them in. You don't want to stare at somebody the whole time while ignoring the rest of the audience, while you are trying to collect your thoughts with your eyes. Probably makes you very uncomfortable, doesn't it, Shrisha? And what about your stage? The gestures of your stage. We as Toastmasters, we are learning, and we learn how to use the stage effectively. Sometimes, however, we don't need to use the entire stage or the area that we have been given or that we have access to. However, in connecting with your audience, if you've got a large audience, you definitely want to utilize the space and the stage to connect to your audience in the right side, or coming down into the middle, into the flow of your audience, and of course over here to the left. Utilizing your space again, the stage space. If in your presentation you have characters or individuals or personalities, you can so easily use the space of having a character on one side shifting to another side to represent another person or another element. And the same with a timeline. If you are giving, for example, your icebreaker, chronologically, you start here. I was born on May 5th. As a teenager, as a young adult, now into my advanced. Again, it's effective use of the stage and your body gestures. The just right amount of words. You can see here on this slide, you have to know your audience. Are you a keynote speaker? Are you an educator? Are you a storyteller? You need to know the audience. You need to be able to speak to them, not over them, not under them. As a rule of thumb, in my studies of graphic design and advertising, a newspaper or the printed piece is typically catered to an 8th grade education. When you speak, know your audience, know their education, study a little bit of their demographics. And what about the visual aids themselves? The visual aids. I mentioned earlier on that slide, we have a plethora of so many tools. Are you going to use photographs? Are you going to use PowerPoint? Are you going to use just your body language and your words? Are you going to accent and accentuate with handouts? Tools, your visual aids are most important to the audience and to the topic that you're talking about. We've talked about your body gestures, we've talked about some visual tools, we've talked about effective words and the language to connect with your audience. When you can use those 3 prominent tools effectively, you know you're going to have a dynamic presentation and it'll be stellar. You'll see stars. You will be a star to your audience, Madam Toastmaster.